and he called it a biddy raid.
Mm.
And so he came in and bid, and look, man, when you've been working, it would be like owning an album shop, right? And you've been striving to own this album shop, right? But new technology is coming out, Blu-ray, DVDs, and everything else. But you got your album shop, right? And then the Rolling Stones walk into your album shop.
Mm.
That's what it was like, where everybody's going to want to go to that album shop because of the Rolling Stores, and then they're going to start buying in to what you're doing.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, how you doing? Welcome to the Nation Podcast. Tonight, we've got another behind the scenes of a content creator and part of the winding up the mental health segment for the month. Appreciate everybody being here. Hope everybody's doing good. Hope this all works. We both had issues with connectivity tonight. You got to love about the internet. But anyways, I appreciate you guys being here. My name is Rebel, and my guest tonight is MyGunIsHuge. And I've known him for quite some time now, a few years, and I finally got him on a podcast. But he's got quite a bit of a story to tell. Some of the things that, like I said, this is all behind the scenes about what happens in real life with us as content creators and how it affects us, and sometimes even affects how we do the content. So just be respectful, be mindful, and I'm going to turn it over to him. What's up, Gun?
Not much, man.
So why don't you start off with, why don't you tell a little bit about yourself, who you are, how'd you get into content creating, and like it, Dad.
Well, I got into content creating in the beginning of Beam, actually, on Xbox. I had noticed that there was this thing called Beam, and so I turned it on and found out through the internet that like the Connect and everything allowed you to broadcast. I think about a week later they changed it to Mixer, and then I used to just stream, playing Call of Duty with Lady Gun, my wife, and we'd play other games together and all that. When my wife fell ill, when she started having seizures and stuff like that, my kids were a lot younger, so I had to take on this role of being kind of like the at-home dad, because they took my wife's license away from me, from her. Through Canadian law, I mean, if you go up to your doctor, because it's under the healthcare system, if you go up to your doctor and say I'm blacking out while I'm driving, they automatically pull your license because you're a risk. With that, I mean, I had a son that had ADHD, ODD, and PTSD. This was all created by my wife's ex. When I met her, she wasn't with him anymore. But the adverse trauma of what they had gone through prior to that was having an effect on my son. So there was a lot of times where I would have full-time jobs, and just quick jobs, because I couldn't do the welding aspect of it anymore. So I started taking on quick jobs, and I kept on getting fired for them because I was always left with that indecisive decision of getting a phone call from the school saying that your son has run away, and we're still looking for him, and we might think he's coming your way. So it just got to this point where I became an at-home dad, and I started getting. It wasn't that I was depressed. It's just I wanted to do. I wanted to be able to do something while I was at home dealing with a regular life. Like waiting for the phone call from the school to tell me to come pick up my son and stuff like that. Mixer became a bigger thing. And originally, my gamer tag was observant client. And as I started growing, I ended up getting a laptop through a course that I had taken through software development and database development. And so I just incorporated that and learned about Streamlight, the first way to like add your overlays via website. and didn't have a camera in the beginning. Streamed under Observant Client. Then finally got a camera through. I think I bought like a really cheap ass web camera, and I plugged it into my Xbox. No, I used my Kinect actually, and then I would add the Kinect onto Streamlight, and it just grew from there. And then as I was growing, like as I was streaming, I really started hating my name because people were referring me to that old show, the OC, on television.
Okay, I remember the show.
Yeah, I couldn't stand the show, so like being represented of that show just kind of irritated me. So I was like, I need to change my name if I'm especially going to make a brand and try to do this. My inkling about doing this was because, of course, Rebel, you know as well as I do that I used to be in the porn industry when it first started. Walking into a building every day, signing in as a different name because I'm signing in as the web adult porn industry's Dalton at the time. So I'd walk into a building that had a room dedicated to modems and servers. It was literally like the beginnings of what we have right now. And so I that was what made it easy for me. It was like, oh well, I've done this before. Like it's just in different. Like I don't have to do all the other things that I used to have to do. And so I looked at my wife and I said, I want to change my name. Like I want to start maybe making a business out of this, or like make something out of this. And I want to, like I want to be funny, and I want people to be interested in what they see or what they hear. And so I looked at her, and we had already been in like the fourth year of all the medications that the doctors have been giving her. And I had made the mistake of asking her when she was like about to fall asleep, and she came out with this statement. And I mean, which I've gotten her to come out on stream and say that it's true because it is true. But she came out with the statement, "You have a big dick." And she fell asleep like instantly. She said that, and then fucking started snoring. And I am a 40-year-old at this point, right? I'm like turning 40. So I've got a little bit of a funnier mindset, and I just turn around and I was thinking to myself, and then My Gun is Huge popped into my head. It really was, and then like my buddies would bug me about it and everything else like that. Like we'd be playing, and nobody would be coming into my channel. I'd be just arguing with Scotty Bot at the time. It was a really crappy bot that we all could fucking download that never worked. And so I started treating Scotty Bot like an employee, like a really fucking shitty employee. And it was starting to drive people to come into my stream, right? Like I'd get like one or two viewers coming in, and they'd be like, "Who are you talking to? There's nobody there." Like you're talking to your bot. And I'd be, yeah, I know I'm talking to my bot, but it's a shitty bot. And by the way, welcome to my channel. And I went through like different catchphrases. Like I used to introduce people whenever they followed me. I'd be like, what did I used to say? I used to say, "Hi, welcome to My Gun is Huge channel, where everybody's gun is huge, and now your gun is huge too. Thank you for the follow." I used to say that all the time.
Yep, I remember.
And so I started, just growing as it. It wasn't until the logo came about, and I'm just so glad that I found somebody that kind of like got the idea that like my idea is that like I've always lived my life as big as I can. I've never taken a failure that I've had and considered it really a failure. It's just been kind of like sculpting me to be the person that you're supposed to be. And so I found somebody that kind of got my drift, and I was like, in my logo, I want to look huge. I want the gun to look huge. I want me to look huge. I'm only 6'2", 165 pounds, soaking wet. I don't got muscles, like I mean, lately, because I've been going back to welding, I'm probably defining out a little more again. But at the same time, I don't got I'm not a meathead, you know, like I don't have huge lats or anything like that. But it's the premise of and the idea that I'm bigger than you think I am, and everybody is. They just got to have that potential. And that's where it came from. I started streaming because of that. It just made it easier that I was an ex-porn model, you know, like it really did because I had already been dealing with trolls as a porn model.
Mm.
You know, like uh, we just didn't call them fucking those names. You know, like back then it wasn't streaming; it was webcamming, and you had to do it through a company. And the porn industry was the company, you know. And then if it wasn't the porn industry, the only way that you could use webcam would be in a cyber cafe back then.
True. Yep. Yeah, because the only chat box we had back then was the IRC chat, or
Yeah, man, it was just you didn't even have video. You weren't
no.
even able to send images until 2003, I think. You could send small, you know, this is the era just after Napster. A lot of people don't realize that. You know, it was the era of like sending mixtapes via Napster to your girlfriend. You know,
Yeah. Yeah,
and
the original
so
Snapchat.
I mean the original, yeah, and so you know, like I ended up fucking walking into everything I've ever done in my life. I've walked into, and I was jobless. I ended up working in Toronto for 4.5 years as a welder. I was welding for studios, right? So I was TIG welding, and I was making basically movie props out of metal or aluminum. I've built in the movie Tuxedo. There's like a mosquito hatching thing. I
Mm.
built those, and the only benefit that I get to see is like I don't know what movie this is being built for. You only see the name like the Tuxedo. You don't get to see the Tuxedo with Jackie Chan and
Oh wow.
Pierce Brosnan, you know, and shit like that. So you just see the Tuxedo. You know it's going to a movie, but you know, but it's fun to be watching the movie and then all of a sudden see the thing that you built in the movie.
That's
You
pretty
know, and
cool.
it's like. Yeah, so there's a few movies that I did. Michael Douglas had a movie come out called The Game
Hmm.
with Sean Penn.
Hmm.
I was the one that built the revolving prostitute bed, I'll
Oh
call it.
really?
Yeah. So I was the one that built the frame and the tracking system on it with a company. That company ended up moving to an area of Toronto that I couldn't get to by bus. So I ended up having to find a new job, and it was really hard. And I was also addicted to cyber cafes, right? And I was a gamer in cyber cafes. So I used to play Counter Strike or Battlefield 1942 in cyber cafes because they were cheap
Really?
to, you know, yeah. 'Cause I couldn't afford a computer, right?
I
At
didn't realize
those,
you could do that back then. I guess I wasn't much into the scene back then like I am now, so that's pretty interesting.
yeah. So that's where the gaming started. Like I've always been a gamer, you know, Sega Genesis, Nintendo. Well, I was never a Nintendo fan. My friend was a Nintendo fan. I was a Sega Genesis fan. I don't know. I enjoyed Sonic a lot more. Maybe it was my ADHD or
Mm.
my ADD. But always been there, and then I mean, I was spending a lot of time at cyber cafes. You know, between being in a home shelter, living in a home shelter, not being able to afford to rent a place because it was really expensive in Toronto. I ended up moving. Like I would go to cyber cafes when I got tired of the. When I got tired of the home shelter that I had to go to, I would then it's not. I mean, I would end up renting a room at a bathhouse in Toronto, and because you got a lock, you got your own room, got your own bed. Yeah, you had sometimes like hear a knock at the door where I guess other patrons that are within the steam room wanted some action, you know, but you quietly turn around and say, I'm sleeping, and they leave you alone, you know. But it was a cheap way to keep my sanity, you know, from like bed bugs and TB and, you know, whatever was running through the home shelter at the time.
Yeah.
then I needed the change, and I wanted to I needed to find a job, so I happened to, every city's got like a local newspaper. I don't know about the United States, but up here in Canada, every city's got like a local newspaper called like the Metro, right? And I was looking through the Metro, and I come across this ad for a porn industry, and I don't know what made me do it. Maybe my past history in life, in how open-minded my parents were and how they brought us up. I had no fear about it, or fear about my sexuality, but I fucking went and applied. But at the time, I was just newly divorced from my ex-wife, right? So I had like this really bad disdain for women in my head. So when I went to the interview and they started showing me like the models I'd be working with, the woman could like literally see on my face that I was not interested.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So she's like, I don't think this is for you. Like you literally haven't, like these were, I'm talking like Rebel Dog. These are top rated models that she was showing me, like the whole package, big boobs, like toned, everything, right? And I just looked at them like, fuck, it's a woman. you know so
Yeah.
she turned yeah, so she turned around and it's like, I don't think this job's for you. And at the time I wanted to get a job, so I was like, well, is there anything that you can suggest to me? And that's where Flirt for Free came from. She was the one that referred it to me and told me where it was and said that they're always looking. So I walked in, and sure as day, they auditioned me right there, which consisted of me standing in front of basically a green screen naked. And they took photos of me, side profile photos. Gave me the name Dalton because the guy said I had long hair like I have now, but just a lot fuller.
Damn age.
No, yeah, damn age. No beard, I didn't even have a goatee. It was all shaven clean, right? So I was a mixture of a metrosexual and a twink, I guess you could say. Like I was feminine but masculine. And the guy looked at me and said I looked like Patrick Swayze and said, we're going to call you Dalton. Because in the movie Roadhouse, his name was Dalton. Yeah. And I was like, okay. And I was Dalton from there forth, and noticed my popularity was because I was kind of like a headbanger, like the music I listened to, the way I talked to the people that were in the chat, and again, it was just like what we do now, like it would be people coming in and talking with you and recognizing that you weren't just there for your body. Some people were there listening to me just talk.
Yeah.
Because you're sitting in there for like, a 4-hour shift sometimes, right? You're bound to talk to the people that you see chatting with you, whether it be about size or what you would do or anything like that, and you're using your imagination if you want to make money back then. So I was just really good at using my imagination, and became very popular.
Yeah, it kind of flows into the what you're doing now, because you still got to use your imagination to try to keep everything.
Yeah, man. Today before this podcast, I'll be honest. I looked up some things, and I keep my mind fresh with things all the time. I really do. One thing that stuck out to me is a thing that Michael Caine, the actor Michael Caine, says, is that he was part of a stage play at one point, and the husband and wife actors like really got into it, right, and like really performed it well. But in the process, they threw a chair that went into the fake door that he had to come out of. And in that process of him trying to get through the door, he popped his head out, and the director seeing him, he's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I can't, there's a chair in front." And the guy turned around and said, "Use your difficulty." And he didn't know what that meant. And he later on figured out what he was basically saying is like, use it to your advantage. Like if it's a comedy, trip over it, make it funny. If it's a drama, pick it up and smash it. and I've done that all my life. Used all my difficulties.
I like that. That's pretty. That's a pretty good reference.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. So when it comes to content creating, I mean, how long have you been doing this for on Twitch? How long? Because you've been on Twitch mainly, or you started on Mixer,
Oh,
right, and then went to Twitch. Because we all
I
started
would
on
have to
Mixer,
look.
right?
Yeah, I would have to look that up.
Because I know I've been. This is my fourth year of being in it straight. So I know you were in it before I was. So
Well, and see, 7 years, 8 months on Twitch. Holy fuck!
dang,
I've dedicated a lot of time.
yeah, that I do know. He's put a lot of time into his streams.
I think that I might, other than I've done a 36-hour stream.
Hmm.
I think, within reason. Like, I'm an old man, so like I'm smart. I'm not gonna go all out. You do need your sleep. Otherwise, I used to be in the military. I know about Hell Week, so it's like you will start hallucinating and becoming delirious if you don't get sleep. So
Oh yeah, yeah. But speaking of the longer streams of 20, because I know, like I said, you stream before you went back to work full time. I know you used to stream, you know, eight,
12
10 hours
hour.
a day,
Yeah.
easily. I mean,
Now, when you come up with content for 8 and 10 hours a day, my content is me, literally me.
so
So go on.
I mean, because like I said, I know a lot of people, they look at the numbers and stuff like that. Do you pay attention to the numbers at all?
Not at all. Not at all. I
Is that
never did
something?
back then. I won't do it now.
Okay, I was gonna say, was that something that you just, a lot of people just kind of like recently started once they started figuring it out? But like I said, because I did, like, when I first started streaming, numbers were a big thing to me, but now they're just not. They're
Yeah,
all
but I mean, if you think about numbers, right, and
numbers and
you go,
stats are two different things.
yeah, like I don't even think of stats either. Like once in a while on Twitch, I'll go into my dashboard and I'll look at, like they'll show you those polls of like who's watching you from where and stuff like that. They're interesting to me, but I find it way more interesting having people. Like I'm sitting in my Discord all the time. Like I sit in my open chat all the time because the way that I look at it is the content that I'm providing is the ability for people to come and just talk about whatever. And that allows you to ignore the difficulties. It helps you get over those, to make use of those difficulties. I've had people come in and I'm smart about it. Like I got friends that I don't want to censor, right? So my way of censoring them is leaving them in the game chat, or just letting them know that they have to stay in the game chat, that I'm not going to invite you into the Discord with me or in a party with me because I'm following the rules of Twitch. And as a friend, or if you're claiming that you're friends with a streamer, then that requires you to actually treat them as a friend and be understanding that they can't say certain words
Yeah,
in their stream. And that's the way I look at it. I look at my stream as if you're sitting in my living room and
definitely.
I'm the host.
I mean, talking about having people come into your streams, because we deal with that when we play COD and stuff like that, listening to lobbies. But having people that and understand the same thing what you just explained, and they still don't do it. I mean, that's really hard to, like, because I know you leave me when we go into streams and stuff like that. But I don't also talk about certain aspects of
Well,
it.
and see, and that's where I'm not saying that like I'm taking anything away from that individual. That's why I made that option to be like, look, I can't control what
Yeah,
goes on in that person's mouth. So, but I can politely control what goes on in my stream. And so, yeah, there are community members that I have that are strictly in game chat, so that because I don't include my game chat in stream. I can if I choose to. All I have to do is turn on my Elgato to analog, and boom, you'll be able to hear everything goes on. The times that I do that are usually when I'm playing with my daughter. Like I will allow her in because she knows I'm streaming, and she knows that me and her usually just nag each other that we're the best. Basically, she'll turn around and tell me that she's carrying me. I'll turn around and tell her she's carrying me, or that I'm carrying her, and stuff like that. And she's also 15, so like I've got, I'm in that era. I've lived through three eras. I've lived through the baby boomers, I've lived through the millennials, and now we're on Gen Z. And I've always assumed that in life you have to adapt, because if you don't adapt, you're like I've just adapted, and like educate yourself. Educate yourself, learn all the new lingo that's going on, even if you find it like absolutely ridiculous. Bet.
I know. I remember the first time somebody did that to me. Is like from when I first started streaming. It was somebody mutual that we both know said that in a Twitter message one time. And he goes, I asked him a question, and he goes, "Oh yeah, bet." And I'm like, "Okay,
Bet what?
what?
Yeah,
Why?"
bet what?
Because back in the day when we were going to school and stuff, bet means like, okay, it's a challenge.
Yeah, and most of the time we'd be like, farmer's bet? Like, I don't got no money.
It's like throwing down the glove. A lot of times it's like, okay, bet. That's the way in my generation or my era, my kids that I hung around, when they said bet, that was like you were challenging what they were saying. So yeah, like he said, the lingo. We've got so much as content creators, especially older content creators. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I am old. I came into this space a lot.
He's 2 months older than me, by the way, everybody.
But I mean, so how do you feel about that? I mean, being the older generation of streamers, I mean, does it like weigh on you because it becomes harder for us now to try to like get into the space, even though we've been in it for a while still? I mean, we've been struggling. I mean, or do you feel that it maybe just doesn't matter how old you are, it just depends on what kind of a content creator you are?
All right. Well, I have always believed that content creators are creative, and that's why they chose what to do to become a content creator. Right? You're creating creativity. I don't know about you, Rebel Dog, but when I was an adult, okay, and people would ask me what I want to be, I wanted to fucking be a stand-up comedian, or I wanted to be a wrestler. All right. Well, I never fucking went to the gym once. So that means that I wanted to really be a stand-up comedian. I always thought of like stories, and always believed that the things that I was going through, I just had a lot that I could make people laugh with, in my perspective of it, and so when you get this opportunity to be creative, I find it to be an everyday thing where like there's days where I'm depressed, and I'm looking for my community to lift me up and come and play with me and laugh and joke around. That's what's helping me through my difficulties. That's how I'm using the difficulty that I'm going through. I just think that creativity, it gives me that venue to do what I really want to do, and because I can't physically do it right now, I have a venue that I can do it and then collect it,
Yeah.
and then down the road, look, I'm not afraid. Rebel Dog, I'm not afraid. I will go after anybody on social media.
Yeah.
Hey, quote me on this. He may say no, but I fucking doubt it. But Dane Cook Gaming right now Dane Cook, the comedian, is streaming now on Twitch and partnered. But I was the one that approached him and showed him my Twitch page and showed him my merchandise. I sent him a message because I wanted to interview him for a charity thing that I was wanting to do. I believe that I fucking put that thought into his head about Twitch.
Possibility, yeah.
So in my head, that's the kind of thoughts that I think. Like, how did I, like, and it doesn't mean that I go and bug him anymore. Like if he sends me a message or something like that, I'm going to send him a message like a friend. Same with JJ Whitehead. He approached me on Twitter at the time. Yes, I looked at his profile. Of course, it's a stranger to me. But he was also a Canadian. Like I had seen that he was born in Canada. So it makes it a little bit more familiar for me. The fact that he has worked with Jim Jeffries and still works with Jim Jeffries has got nothing to do with the friendship that I have with him. The friendship became an organic thing where he was like, hey, I'm trying to get heads or tails of Twitch. Do you think you can help me? And I turn around in the DM and said, absolutely. Anytime that you want to come by, I will try to explain everything and anything I can to you in the old man lane terms that I have. And he would come into the stream and he would ask me, like, how do I put text on my overlays like you have? And I would stop midstream because this is a friend, right, asking questions. So I would stop midstream and show him on stream how to do it. Whether you get angry for me, like I've got like buddies that are on that say that I promote too much or that I'm helping other people out too much. You can never ever assume when the stuff comes back to you. You just got to keep on doing the good that you're doing, and just strive to do that and pick up the notions when they happen. Like being rated by Will Niff, like 5 times, things like that. Being rated by the Untitled Twitch stream, which are 3 comedians, Chris Betts, Ashley, and John, I think.
No, I mean, that's what a lot of people don't understand. They wonder why their channel isn't growing. They wonder why they're not getting any traction or whatsoever. And then you realize that they don't interact with nobody.
Especially if you're acting as a friend, and that's the key word, acting as a friend. You have to be a real friend. Like JJ, Gorilla Griffin, all those people, any of the people I've met, including yourself, you have to be a real friend. You can't act as a friend. Acting as a friend, people can sniff out that you're all you're looking for is the what's that word that everybody likes using? Huh? Clout. Yeah. You have to be a real friend, right? And I want to portray that and always make sure that people know that when they're in my stream, that I'm going to be respectful. I'm going to treat you like you're inviting me to your house.
Yep.
And I, as a person, wouldn't invite somebody over to my house and be like, hey, he's a stand-up comedian. Hey, get up there and do stand-up comedy right now.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't do that. The people around visiting and seeing JJ would end up hearing the comedy as we're fucking talking about and having conversation. He'd probably end up saying something fucking funny and witty naturally that we would all laugh about.
Oh, yeah.
That, to me, is a lot better content and creativity than anything.
Yeah.
And it helps so many people.
And I think more content creators need to be like that. I mean, I can understand, like I said, there's a difference between content creation and gaming, gaming streamers. The gaming streamers, you automatically know they're not going to be stopping in midstream to help you do something. But I think a lot of more content creators, if they're having issues to growing and stuff like that, I think if they would stop and actually help their community out, you do, I do, I know a few other people that do, because yes, we do this for, hopefully one day make a living out of it, but we also do it to try to make the connections and grow friendships. So, but yeah, I really do think that more people need to stop and help other people when doing this, because granted, there's a lot of YouTube videos out there that tell you the basics, but they don't tell you the hard shit.
Here and now that I've got this platform, I would really like to say that, like, individually, if you are a streamer, and you have taken the creativity to create your brand is, and in your head you've got like this motto of like what your brand is to you. Stay firm with that, and go forth with that. Don't let this imaginary idea of like, I'm sure that there's plenty of stream teams that are successful, but it's one idea working together with multiple people. Not very many stream teams are like that, so there's few and far between. Me personally, I've had experiences with stream teams. Look, the stream team to me is just the newer version of a gaming community. And back then, with gaming communities like with Battlefield 4 and all that, when you joined a community, I'm old enough to realize that it was a bit of a Ponzi scheme. It was a 40-year-old that created a website for a membership so that you could therefore, be in fake tournaments and scrimmages with other people that had paid a membership. So and then it worked down the line. Oh, and you got a ranking system, and you got an emote, and you got to be part of meetings like you were really in the military again. So now it's stream teams, and I've always turned around and said that if I created a stream team, and I don't want to, because I've got too much on my plate as it is. But if I ever created a stream team, I think that the stream team logo, everything in regards to the stream team itself, should be underrated, and all the streamers within that stream team being overrated, like being over the top of the actual stream team. Yeah. And having the angel, because everybody's walking in with their own brand when they have a stream team. So shouldn't the stream team be promoting their brand individually rather than promote the individual promote the stream team?
Yeah, I mean, that is the way that in my head it should work. So many people, like you said, it becomes a proprietary. Everybody wants to, I can understand it's like promoting what you're promoting. Like if you're with a company stream team, and promoting that company on top of it, but also you've got to be, I mean, the company's got to also promote you, because the bigger you get, the bigger they get, is the way I look at things. It's like any business decision. The bigger one side gets, the bigger the other side gets. So, but there's so many businesses out there on top of stream teams that just don't understand that concept. But
now, for me on Twitch, I mean, I've been streaming on Mixer probably for about 5 years. When they announced that they were shutting down in May, I believe, on a tweet on Twitter that currently I'm suspended for, but whatever. It was my fault. But anyway, with that tweet, I was streaming at the time and overheard it in a conversation that we were having in party. And somebody had mentioned that, hey, Microsoft just tweeted something out about Mixer. And so I looked at it and I saw it. Now, the reason I made the switch within 2 hours after seeing that tweet was because the day that they were shutting Mixer down completely was the day that I was allowed to go for my third review on becoming partnered. And I had filled all the other qualifications. So when I saw the date that they were shutting it down, where they were ending it completely, in that tweet, I just looked at my camera and I said, give me 2 hours, please, and just follow me on my Discord. Thank God for Discord, eh?
Yeah.
And so I shut everything down and started looking into Twitch and the payroll system and what it was and everything else. Like I filled out the thing, looked at Lady Gun and said, hey, or my wife and said, hey, I got to move to Twitch, and I just hope, we're going to have to start all over again. And so it got it all going. Look, the way I look at it is I've made friends in Mixer, a lot of good friends, a lot of great people. And I'm fortunate at the time that when I started streaming on Twitch, that all my OBS and my stream, everything was working. And Mr. Psycho Plays himself was having issues, even though that they had offered him up a partnership already with Twitch. Like he had the sub button already and going, didn't he? Right off the hop almost.
Yeah, I think he had an affiliate, but he didn't. He wanted to earn.
Or he
wanted to earn
he
the
made
partnership.
yeah, that's right. So he had affiliate already. And it was just me being fortunate that I had grown this relationship with this man who's fucking true to his words, just like I am. And I started streaming, and he was having issues. And I guess in his mind, he was like, well, you know what? I know who My Gun Is Huge is, and I know what kind of quality he gives, and it's the old man fucking funny shit. So I'm going to go and raid him, and he raided me with, I think, 300 people at the time. And that got me affiliate that first day. Like I was affiliate the first freaking day that I started streaming on Twitch. Down the road, got into some troubles. Was fortunate to have my son, who had a kind of like a online girlfriend, like through his school, like through Microsoft, whatever the school uses. He had like he's never actually done anything, like it's a girlfriend, like whatever. Well, I guess he had told her how hard I had been working at being a streamer, and like all the troubles that we were going through financially and everything else. And I guess she took it upon herself. She wanted to help some way. Well, she went into Will Niff's channel and shouted me out and like wrote a huge message about me, and about what I'm doing and all that. And fortunate that Will Niff, before they banned her, like tried to ban her, was like, wait a minute, let's take a chance, and go and check this dude out. And he came into my stream and he watched me. And like I've seen the Reddit video where he's watching me and they're trying to figure out whether I was from D Live or if I was from Mixer. Right? I guess they were trying to figure out if I was a Republican or a Democrat. That's what it was like. Like is he for Trump or is he against Trump? And so he listened and he's like, oh man, this guy is real. This guy is real. Like he's just trying to work hard. And he did this thing that he does, kind of like what Psycho Plays used to do, where you walk in and you spend biddies, and you just go nuts on biddies, and then he's the one that's like generating how high and what the levels are, and he called it a biddy raid. And so he came in and and look, man, when you've been working, it would be like owning an album shop, right? And you've been striving to own this album shop, right? But new technology is coming out, Blu-ray, DVDs, and everything else. But you got your album shop, right? And then the Rolling Stones walk into your album shop. That's what it was like, where everybody's going to want to go to that album shop because of the Rolling Stores, and then they're going to start buying in to what you're doing. And I managed to hold 3,000 people in a stream. For the first half hour, I can guarantee you I was bawling my eyes out because it helped so much at a really, really desperate time, I've had a few other desperate times, but within that reason, the people that I've met I've just been really fortunate for the people that I've met. seeing Jay through My Gun is Huge. Just a regular dude that is trying to do the same thing that and wants a different career. My career happens to be I want to be an entertainer of some type, whether it be doing stand up or mini vignettes or writing my own stuff. I'm writing my own stuff right now.
Yeah. Yeah, you were telling me about that. It sounds exciting.
Like I'm starting to write. I've got a title for it. Then look at this is how fortunate works. This is what happens when you're a good person. At work, where I work, I'm a welder. I'm just a regular welder. I'm not the lead hand. I'm just an old man that shows up to work and does a really good job welding. And works hard at doing it, as much as I can, because you just want to go home after that.
Yeah.
You get paid and you go home. But in the process of that, I've met a man. His name is Brian Langlots, who created a playwright called The Letters. And he knows a bunch of people. Like he showed me on his phone like all the people that he's known. He is an official IMDb actor. He's been in The Cult of Chucky. He's been in a whole bunch of movies. Look him up if you guys want. He owns and operates his own production company called Parachute Camel Productions, where he is doing that playwright. And that's the payoff of just being a good person, is those opportunities being thrown in front of you. Like, who am I to be going to a work? Like, I started working before him, and then he joined as just the warehouse worker, and then you find out information. He finds out that I'm a streamer because I talk about it all the time. I do. Fuck, man. At work, I fucking showed my underwear at work. I wore my underwear, went to work, fucking started talking about my stream, and everybody's like, oh, yeah, made it look like it wasn't serious. And I said, yeah, man, I even got merch underwear. And I fucking whipped my pants down and fucking showed them all my underwear. I'm amazed I didn't get fired the first day for sexual harassment. But I showed, just the logo on my ass, it made them realize, holy shit, this guy is trying to do it, and that's funny as fuck, so then they know I'm a cool dude, right? Like, me and this old man painter get along really well, but so then he finds out, oh, you stream? Oh, and then I get that podcast, and that podcast finally comes out, and then he comes up to me, he's like, hey, were you part of a podcast? And then he starts talking about who he is and what he's done, and it's like, just be a good person, do good things, and good things happen to you.
Yeah.
And you got to recognize them too, man.
Yeah, that's a lot of people. I think a lot of people realize that like I said, they feel something. I don't know. There's so much fake in the world today. I think people they don't realize how to go about what's real and what's not anymore. I think that's a big thing with people nowadays. But anyway, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say that, in coming up with your name, your brand, be smart about it. I chose a name where, like, when people ask me how huge is it, like, you can't ask that really. Is it really huge? Well, yeah, that's why it says huge.
We give him hell on stream. If you ever guys run across this stream when we're all streaming together, we give each other hell, and it's what it is. We just give each other shit. At the end of the day, when we close stream, we're still friends, and nothing. Everything we've done that day is in that day. But
I usually end up watching TV, falling asleep, and then the next day I wake up, and then I'm like streaming, and then I'm like getting bored, and I'll be like, man, fucking Rebel needs to get on soon. I want to get him angry, or I want to say something stupid.
We kind of throw that back and forth every once in a while, but try to get each other's goat just to see what we can do. But it's content, man. It's content. Leading into a little bit of, I mean, I don't know how much you want to talk about it. I know you talk it to me a lot about, but with the mental health of, or the mental strain of actual real life coming in play, you're talking about you just went back to work. Um, and I know your wife has been really, really sick. I mean, how have you been able to cope with that throughout this whole thing? I mean, has streaming helped you cope with that?
Yeah, the streaming's helped me cope with it. But I take everything with a grain of salt. Like I work for a company that's kind of like a family company, right? So even that helps. When you're at an age where you've been through life, right? So like my boss is younger than me by like 10 years, right? But he's been in the industry just as long as I have. So I guess with knowing that I've been out of work for a long time, being a primary caregiver of my wife, and knowing what was going on, they're really good at understanding. That means a lot. When it comes to the stream, it's my exhaust. If you understand the metaphor, like it's my exhaust. Like whatever happens before I put that stream on, I'm exhausting it all out on stream. Whether you guys are like hearing what I'm saying, or seeing my face, or seeing how my attention span is. I really believe that, creating what we've created, if it's a true community aspect of things, then it also means that your community kind of recognizes, kind of like my work recognizes, like you're not going to walk into work every day in a good mood. And I think that a lot of people get social anxiety problems when they're in a bad mood and when other people see them in a bad mood. And I think that people got to get over that and be like, hey, man, what's up? And just be an ear. And my work has done that. And I kind of force when I stream, it's my exhaust. So I'm kind of forcing it upon people to deal with, like, hey, if I'm not in a good mood, or I've had an argument, or something stupid's happened, I'm going to talk about it. And if you don't want to talk about it, then there's other streams, but this is what I want to talk about right now. Like a couple of days ago, I was talking about reading the newspaper. It's not about how depressed I am. It's a way of me exhausting that feeling of depression, or feeling of mental strenuous activities, when it comes to like paying bills and stuff like that. And I believe that cultivating that is what's been helping my stream grow. Forcing myself to talking game chat, and try to be on those really negative days where I'm being like, fuck this shit. Then I hear some kid say something even more fucked up than me, and then I play off of it, and it's exhausting out that fucking feeling of like, fuck this shit, like, why am I here? What am I doing?
Yeah.
I've always used things, like I said, Michael Caine's thing is use the difficulty.
Yeah.
I really like that one, man. And there's another one that people should think about that Tom Hanks says, and it's called Till It Passes.
Till it
I
passes.
think that's something like that. Till this passes. Basically, you're gonna have to deal with it. So just deal with it until it passes, and deal with it with honor and pride, and try your best to, I've had really rough days. Like Lady Guns is going through radiation. She's going through chemotherapy. Her mom is sick right now, so she's constantly trying to help out her mom because her other sisters are not. And my wife is a very giving kind of person, and you just got to I've known that since I've met her, right? So I can't virtually take that away from her, no matter what she's going through, no matter how much I want to. You
Yeah.
know, but at the same time, like what my wants aren't the same as what she wants. So yeah, let them know through facial expressions. Like there's times where I'm sitting here and she leaves and she has to go and do something for somebody else because of something else, because that's who she is. She knows. It's like I'm disappointed at that point. Because I want her to be in bed, relaxing. Hopefully, her Crohn's or the cancer itself vanishes. Like if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I mean, all I can be right now is an advocate to let people know that like if you hear somebody that's dealing with cancer, there's a lot of loaded stuff to that word. You're
Yeah.
dealing with mood changes. You're dealing with prescriptions, financial constraints. You're dealing with, I mean, cancer brain is a big thing. As you're going through all the treatments, they're basically harming your brain to stop what's harming your brain. And so even if it does shrink, even if it does go away, me and my wife are going to have strenuous mental, emotional times because there's going to be moments where she can't remember. Even now it happens. She doesn't remember something and it upsets her. And, there is a real thing called cancer brain. And, a lot of marriages don't last with somebody that's got cancer.
Yeah.
One or the other will walk away.
So how long have you guys
And
been married?
12, almost 12
12 years.
years. I've
Wow.
known her. She's 10 years younger than me, too. I robbed the cradle. Technically, I robbed the cradle. If you think about it, she's 10 years younger than I'm 48. So that means that when I was 18, she was 8 years old. I'm just glad that I met her when I was in my 20s. And she was
Yeah,
in
that's good.
her early 20s. Or, yeah. No, I met her when I was in my early 30s, and she met me when she was in her early 20s. And I never knew that she was going to be sick. I
Yeah.
just knew that I had a woman that had been abused and taken advantage of by her ex, and I wanted somebody to take care of me at that point in my age. Like I was at that age. 30 is a milestone age where all of a sudden men wake up and they're like, fuck, I don't want to live alone. Like I need to smarten up somehow. And that's what happened was I needed to smarten up. And I was on Facebook and I had noticed this comment on Facebook and I agreed with it. So I commented on it, and lo and behold, it happened to be a woman that had a huge crush on me apparently in elementary school,
Oh,
and yeah, she adored me. She apparently was even at my house when I was 18, and I came out of the shower with a towel
wow.
on, and she saw me, but she was like my brother's friends, right? So like
Oh,
at that age, I'm ignoring them, like I'm just doing my thing. So apparently, I ignored her, and I walked downstairs into my basement suite that I had that I was renting from my parents. And I think I said, "Hey, how's it going?" And walked downstairs. But she fucking apparently mentally fucking freaked out that I even talked to her. And then lo and behold, like she's in her 20s and she's responding to a Facebook page because she's like, "Holy man, somebody that I've actually wanted to go and be on a date with and think there's a good quality man. I want to meet him." So I was at my buddy's place. I've been out of the game for like a year and a half. Like the dating game, and my buddy kept on telling me to say stupid shit to her in text, and
gotta love friends.
and she half of the shit that I said to her she didn't understand because it was like age, like
Mm,
era, like I was like, hey, like my I can't even go into it, but and then I picked her up and like failed almost 3 times. Like if I thought when I first picked her up, she's really short, right? She's like 4'9.5". My wife is really short, so when I picked her up from far away, I'm sorry to say, but she looked like a kid. So I think I almost drove past her because I didn't want to get in trouble. So she came in, and she's also French, right? So she's got an accent to her voice, right? And she asked me. Like strike one was me like almost like commenting on her height when she came in because I literally had to pull her into the van because she couldn't get up the step. And so, and then as we're driving to my house, she asked me to go to the store, but she said it in a really weird way, like in a French way. She was like "stour" or something like that, and I couldn't understand what the fuck she was saying. So I was like, "What are you saying? Like, where do you want to go?" And she's like, "A place to buy cigarettes." I'm like, "Oh, a store." And she's like, "Yeah, that's what I said, stour." So that's like strike two, right? So I'm glad that I was a good cook. And been married ever since then. And it hasn't been easy. It's been very hard. But I fucking told him that that's what I was gonna do. So I gotta keep up with it.
Yeah.
Even if my daughter hates me one day or doesn't like me the other day, he stands strong.
I think it's just kids in general. But
Oh yeah.
I mean, are they all? I mean, do they support what you do? Do they support? I understand. Like I said, you had to go back to work, and you used to do this full time. Do they support the idea of you still doing this and working at the same time?
I believe so. I would hope so. I haven't heard any complaints. What it does for me is like, and I still, I still see my family. Like I'll play with my daughter if she asks. I will watch movies with my wife, but my wife is trying to be busy herself, right? She doesn't want to always constantly think about what the doctors want her to do and all that, and I don't want to take that away from her. Would I like to do things with my wife? Fucking rights I would, like go and do the other things that we used to do, like dinners and stuff like that. But at the same time, I just recently got employed, so that's not in the works right now. So we just got to be patient.
Yeah, it'll get there.
Yeah.
So how do you deal? You said that you like to spend time. So do you? Because I know you stream quite a bit still. After you get off of work. I mean, do you take a day off to just kind of like hang out with the family, or how do you balance that?
I get off at 10 o'clock so that I can spend, like, because I don't sleep right away. So, Rebel Dog, when I tell you it's 10 o'clock and I'm going to bed, I'm actually making something to eat, sitting with my wife, watching a movie with her, watching whatever show she's watching, having a conversation with her, rubbing her, like taking care of the vigilant husband things, even if I'm tired, I'll still like rub her calves and stuff like that until I fall asleep. Then I wake up and I go to work. That has been my life as long as I can remember, and when it comes to listening to people talk about like the unfairness of how men are treated and stuff like that, like to me, I believe that they support what I do, but at the moment I don't. Like I understand why they don't want any part of it,
Yeah.
and I keep with that, but it doesn't mean like the way that I deal with my mental health is by being honest, right? If I'm not feeling well I think for the past month, my title through Christmas and through the New Year's was all I want for Christmas is a cure for my wife's cancer.
Yeah.
I put that there purposely because that's how I feel. Like every day I get to experience the slow decline of what this thing is doing to my wife. Nobody else is. and I'm not trying to use it as clout. I am being honest. I'm being like, hey, like there's other people like that. They're dealing with the same thing, and I'm gonna be I'm sitting on a platform. Why not be the one that turns around and says, like this sucks.
Yeah. No, that is true. I mean, I know you're one of the truest people I've met in this whole thing. So I mean, it's anytime he talks about it, it's not trying to boost his ratings or boost anything. He's legit. But
Like I went into another podcast recently. My artist is my arsenal, does wisdom and words,
mm,
and I was listening to it, and then I joined it, and they were giving their perspectives of what a man and what a wife and a husband do and all that, and all that stuff, and all I can say is that like that's fine and dandy. But then you also got to look at it as like what happens when that 50% of that marriage is now on you, right? That you got to pick up whatever 100% that somebody else is putting into the marriage. You got to pick that up, and you got to help them with that, and just go with some of the decisions that are made, and deal with the life issues of teenagers and young adults and stuff like that, and how I want my legacy to be remembered, that there's no negative, that everybody that I've ever encountered would be like, no, man. Like if they heard something bad about me, they'd be like, no, that's not him.
yeah,
You're talking about somebody else because that's not him.
yeah. No, like I said, I mean, like we've known at least. I know I've known you most of my streaming career. Because like I said, we met under the same organization that we were both part of there for a while. Um, but no, yeah, that's one thing is I've known about Gunn is that everything he talks about, he's probably like one of the truest people that holds true to what he says. There's no fake about him. He doesn't try to inflate his views by just talking about things that are trending. Like most people do, or a lot of people do. Not most people, but a lot of people. But with that, what would you give somebody some advice for that is struggling with, some of the things that you struggled with mental health wise? And I mean, because it is hard, because we all as streamers face something. We all have something wrong with us. I'm going to say, either we have ADHD, we're introverted, we have, more stringent, circumstances involving.
Well, all right. I mean, it's a little bit easier for me to answer that question because I'm Canadian and it's like legal. But I mean, my mental health has been. Look, I could go to a doctor and I can get a prescription for some type of fucking depression medicine or bipolar medicine, or be put on Concerta for my ADHD, or I just never really inspired to digest a manufactured thing, other than processed food, I guess. But like when it comes to pills and stuff like that, I never really bothered. My parents never forced it upon me as a kid. They got told that I had ADHD, and at the time, Ritalin was a big thing. But I'm just glad that my parents were smart enough to realize that Ritalin was basically a form of methadone. So that you're literally giving your kid meth, to calm them down. When back then, all it could have been was I just need more extracurricular activities, to make sure that I was doing a lot.
Yeah.
Things got changed back then, like those names started coming up, the prognoses started coming, ADHD, dyslexia, everything else like that. I just never liked prescription medications, so whenever I went to a doctor, they were like, oh, you got ADHD, here's some Concerta, here's a prescription for Concerta. It went into my pocket, and then I never bothered filling it out and just went about my day. I smoke pot. I would probably turn around and tell everybody in the world that if you want to relax, you want to take some time, you want to clear out your demons, even pot for me has been that, and I've been able to manage it where like I've had months where I've gone with no pot, like where I've just cleaned out my system, stopped doing it. As of late, no, that hasn't been so much, but it's also reducing my heart rate, like I'm not as anxious waiting for things, like there's other attributes to the weed and what I'm doing with the weed now that we didn't have as a teenager or as a kid, like when you're a kid and teenager and you're smoking pot, you'd buy a quarter ounce and it would be gone in like 2 days with your friends. Well, I'm an old man now. I manage it where it's not gone, but it manages the tension and the fucking anxieties that I have, and kind of releases the muscles and helps my body relax to a point where I start not dwelling on it, and I'm an advocate of marijuana for sure. I started doing marijuana right after I joined the military, or right after leaving the military. I don't come from a great family. My family was very abusive as a child. So as a teenager and as a young adult, in my own experiences, I realized that I had the edge for rage. Then the edge for rage got amplified when I joined the military. Then I ended up having the stresses of a marriage with 2 children, and both raged, and I didn't like to see that portion of me that had, whether it's been instilled in you or, just dealing, I didn't like it. And so I went to anger management for 2 years and kind of replaced it with the real emotion of hurt. Because a lot of times when people are raging, they're more hurt than they are raging. And when you're hurt, I put in place tears rather than throwing my shit and punching walls. And so I'm not afraid to cry as a 48-year-old man. Like when I'm fully on depressed, and sometimes pot allows you to do it a lot quicker than other times, because you're fighting those demons.
Yep.
And so pot's been a great success for my mental tension, I guess you could say. That's what I would call it, is tension, because it really relaxes me, right? So when I'm streaming and you hear my voice really relaxed and my attention span really low, my body is feeling that too, right? So I don't got the tension in my shoulders. I don't have the tension in my neck, because a lot of tension will alter your mood and how you're feeling. Like you're going to feel like shit, And so that amplifies what mentally you're going through.
Yeah, that would be the time that when we're playing Call of Duty and he just kind of goes running off and doesn't tell anybody where he's going. And then he dies.
Yeah.
And he asks where his teammates are at.
Yeah. Yeah. Like those are the times where like I have obviously have come down a little bit and I'm starting to feel the tension again. It's like, oh, fuck. And then you start wandering, But I also do it too because I like action, right? So like when I'm playing video games, I'm always going towards the bullets, right? Because I've always viewed that that's the only way that you're going to get good content is by just going. Like, there's been times where I've been playing with people and there's like even I have had player rage in my brain where I'm like, dude, you're fucking sniping with me. What the fuck? Like, I thought you were behind me the whole time, gung-ho like I am.
I know. I have a running thing in this cat. Every time he does, it's like, oh, there goes gun. We forgot to put the tether on him. We got to tether him back. No, I mean, and that's one thing too. Is it's like as a streamer, you find the group that you connect with and everything else, and it, like I said, most of us do the streaming as a way of release from what goes on in the real world, and connecting with people that you either understand or they go through the same things. That helps get rid of whatever's going on in real life for just a few hours a day, and that will help your mental stability, even though that it's still going to be there when it's done, when you hit the end stream button. But for a while there, there was a little break in the action and the break, and you were able to focus on something else than what's going on. 'Cause that's the reason why when I first started this, I was streaming for, you know, 5-10 hours a night right after I got off of work from a 10-hour shift. It's just like, you know, it was something that I'd eat supper, say hi to my wife, and I'd hit the live button just so I could have, the break of the financial troubles that we used to go through, and things like that. I mean, as creators, we all have those issues. Some of us share it, some of us don't, but we all have them. It's plain and simple. But go ahead.
I really treat and I have treated my stream as like a brick and mortar building where like every morning or like with the job it's just kind of like shortened. It's been making me like a little pizza place. That's been open for 4 hours because he's just trying to make a quick something, but like that, my stream has, from being a brick and mortar full-time job, it's part-time now, but I still treat it as a brick and mortar, like coming in, fucking flipping that sign open, hello everybody, welcome to MyGunIsHuge, and welcome and please, let's have a conversation, and I think that has been mostly helping me a lot more, and the camaraderie when we're playing, and like, I mean, there's just even times where I'm enjoying listening to Killshot, like just listening to him talk about like every aspect of the game that I don't give a shit about, but the idea that he gives a shit about it that much is like listening to a football fan, or a NASCAR driver fan, or something, like it's the equivalent, because I've had those moments where I'm like talking about NHL or politics or whatever else, and they gotta listen to it.
Yeah, but no, yeah, it's like I said, it's one of the things where you just gotta find that connection, but yeah, understanding streamers, for people that just are viewers and have never hit the live button and that's all they do is just view. That's kind of the reason why I started this, so you guys kind of get an idea of what we do go through, some of the real things in life. We just don't hit the camera, and this is what this is what you see all the time. So give me anybody that wanted to start streaming today. What would you tell somebody? Give 3 good things. What you would tell somebody to start streaming?
Ooh. 3 good things I would tell a streamer to do. Make sure you're listening or reading chat. Because you don't need a camera, but I would have a really good mic, a really good attitude, and just commit. Like if you're gonna say that you want to become a streamer, then that's the goal that you're attempting. So then don't quit at it. 7 years, 8 months. I've committed myself to being a streamer with variety content. My variety content it may be one game usually, which is Call of Duty, or another game that's called Tarky, but that's not the content. The content is people that I have, that I'm talking to, that I'm interacting with, the game chat that I'm interacting with. Like I treat game chat sometimes like I'm, talking to like a teenager at the mall. Like, holy man, do you have to say that? Yeah. Like, have fun with it. Like, we're all in the like, look, we come from that era where, like, we didn't I don't know about you, but like half my friends back in the day, whenever they went into chat rooms, pretended that they were a girl just because they wanted to pretend to be a girl, you know so it's just weird stuff like that. Have fun with it. you
Yeah.
know don't
Nope.
worry. Don't
Yeah.
turn it into a grind. Don't, in your head, like, I'll turn around and tell people, nice to see that you're grinding. The only time that I say that is when they've taken that break.
Mm.
That's the time where I'll say, hey, welcome back to the grind of things. But right now, I'm not grinding. Right now, I'm having fun. I've been having fun for 7 years and 8 months. It's a long time. I've got the ability to apply for partnership. I just refuse to until, sooner or later that number will be 75.
Yeah.
And I got the patience for it.
Yep. Yeah. And I said the one that's the main goal right there is just have fun with it, and let things run its course naturally. I mean, if you try to push something, it's just like anything in life. You try to push it, there's always going to be pushback. So if you would let things just take its course, don't rush it, have fun, you'll learn a lot of good things along the way that can enhance your ability to make it better when you do get to that point in life you want to be. But
And you got to be friendly. Like, look, part of being a streamer, I disagree with that whole, social anxiety, in the sense that, and maybe this is because of the porn industry, but because we didn't worry about that stuff in the porn industry. There were no rules on that. I had to be engaging.
yeah,
Okay, as a porn star, you have to be the one engaging to make money for the company. So I had no issues talking on stream and talking in front of a camera, half nude, because I was making money. So when you're streaming right now, and you see people in your channel, whether you're watching your viewer list or there's sometimes where I watch who's in my channel, and I see who's in my channel, and I know that even Rebel Dog knows I do that. People have had big qualms about that stuff. I do it because I'm an engaging person. So if I see people in my channel that I know are probably doing IRL, I'm still going to say something, because it's like you walking past my window.
yep,
you know,
mm,
you're mowing a grass, and I'm trying to get your attention. Hey, man, take a break for a bit.
yep,
So be engaging. Social anxieties. If somebody's in your stream and they got social anxiety, the reason that they're in your stream is to get over that social anxiety, and the only way that they're going to get over that social anxiety is by having somebody be not having that issue, and being like, "Hey, man, you could be comfortable talking."
yeah. Oh, that's what yeah, having a comfortable place, because that's the streams I go to. If I don't see somebody interacting with chat or anything like that, I usually don't stick around very long. And if they're being toxic to their chat, unless it's part of their little game they play, because I know, like I said, me and my mods, we get in, we can become a little rambunctious. Me and you become rambunctious when we're in streams, but if it's all for fun, you usually can tell that if it's for fun or if they're just being totally hateful.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like, my mod is a busy man. He's going through a lot IRL. I mean, my mom, like the people that I know, and that I've grown in 7 years and 8 months, have been people that have confided in me, really consider me as a friend, and that's what that's I believe what everybody intended it to be. Is look, whether you know it or not, Twitch is an MLM,
Yeah.
simply multi-layered media. So we are getting the privilege to use that to even make grocery money. That's phenomenal for some people,
Yeah.
and so take it and use it, and and be positive and be that non-antisocial person. Don't be an antisocial person. To like, you're not going to get anybody interacting with. Half my interactions, Rebel, this, have been on game chat, where
Yeah.
people have like heard me talking, whether or singing or whatever, and then been intrigued and then come into my channel, and then what do you do with that? Do you be an ass to them? Even if they're being like competitive in the game, and they're telling you that they're kicking your ass and you're a pussy and all that. Half my people that have been in my stream have been people that have like told me that they're going to kick my ass, but they're so intrigued by like what they hear and the conversations I'm having throughout the game that they want that experience to continue. So then they come in, they go like, holy fuck, he's streaming. He really is streaming. And holy fuck, he's talking to me.
Yeah, 'cause a lot of these people, a
And
lot of these people you meet in game chat, they're not streamers. I mean, there's quite a few of them, but most of them you meet have no clue what Twitch is or anything else.
people bug me all the time. Why do you have TTV in your name? Well, okay, first of all, I didn't have it originally in Call of Duty. That got taken away from me, so I had to put TTV in it. Now I've switched my other thing to live, so people know that I'm just live on TTV. But the reason I put TTV in all my call out things is because it's a brick and mortar business. How else are you going to advertise that you're fucking streaming, right? And that TTV has been like the tall tale sign that you're a streamer. It doesn't matter if you're a good streamer or good at the game. Just have that little advertisement, like
Yeah.
just announce that you're doing it. Who cares what they say? You don't have to care. That's like you being a busker and being a shitty fucking magician, but every day you're dedicated going out busking and and being a magician, and people walking by, there's a fucking shitty trick, and just giving up on it. You'd never become a good magician by giving up on it.
Yep. I always call people that, you see it a lot in Twitter and a lot every place else. People always call out people that talk crap about what they do. And that's the only thing is every time I see one of those comments, it's like, okay, you just got to realize, haters are going to hate. That just means you're doing something right and something they can't do or don't want to do.
Yep.
So most of the time it's because they can't do it or they're too scared to do it. So just haters are going to hate.
Yep.
But all right, my dude. Well, I'm going to cut it short and let you get back to your regular streaming, so that way you can get back to your community. I appreciate you doing this with me tonight.
I appreciate it.
We got a lot of personal information. Like I said, these what I've done with these here are just kind of like I handpicked everybody that came on this show or this segment for the fact that I knew that they were going through issues, and most of them I knew, didn't have a problem, talking about it.
I'm
And
amazed I didn't cry.
I seen you kind of tear up a little bit there, started to.
Well, like, when it
But no.
comes when it comes to the cancer thing, it's really that one's eating at me.
Oh,
You know, it's eating at me when like I take the time. You take the time to talk to your wife, and you're like, "How did your appointment go?" And you find out things aren't going well. It's a kick in the nuts, man.
yeah.
I feel like I got like a little person hanging on my nuts right now named cancer, constantly just poking me in the asshole and fucking yanking on my nuts.
Yeah.
And I can't do it. It's like having childbirth, but to like the worst kind. Like when I saw a baby being born for the first time, I couldn't help my wife in any way. Anything I did was not good enough, because of the pain that they go through in childbirth. And I felt helpless as a dude that I couldn't like I'd go up to her and rub her head and she'd tell me, leave my head alone, and things like don't touch me, because she was in a lot of pain. So it's kind of the same feeling in a way that, like I feel helpless a lot of times. But I use the community and I use what I do here to alleviate that a little bit. I walk around, Rebel. I mean, I take the bus. I could go and buy a vehicle and and drive to work, but I like taking the bus. I'm a people watcher. It's what keeps me calm.
Yeah. Well, not only that, walking around alleviates some stress too. So.
Yeah, I mean, I walk to the store every time that you have had me interrupt the stream by going to the store.
Like, all right, and the first time he said that when we started streaming together, he's like, "Okay, I'm going to the store." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah, man.
All right, we'll see you after a while. And he's like, "No, I'll be right back," and leave his stream up. And I'm like,
yeah, man. I'm gone about 15 minutes, and then I'll come back. But I do that for, first of all, I live in the most interesting neighborhood in my fucking city. It's like, and then you get on the bus, you watch people. I think that in the future, people are going to have neck problems.
Because they're always down with their phone.
Yeah, man. Like that's all you, or they're going to get ear infections from the headphones that they wear. Because everybody wears these like LCG headphones, and they're listening to their music on their iPhone.
Yeah. But
how many times did you ever see a guy on a bus with a boombox playing music out loud as a kid or even a teenager? Like how long would it take before somebody on that bus would look at them and be like, "You need to shut that shit down now"?
Yeah.
Nowadays, people do it on their speaker phones. Like the kids will walk in with their jeans down to the mid thigh, like literally scooting around with a belt wrapped around their legs, not their hips, and they'll have their music playing out loud for everybody to listen to. Like I want to listen to frickin' 50 Cent at like 5 a.m.
Yeah.
It's times have changed, man. We gotta just adapt.
But yeah, no, it's been real. Like I said, I knew a lot of this stuff, but like I said, I knew you had a lot of good information to share with. You never know. Somebody might watch this video that's dealing with the same issue or some of the same situations and may realize it's like, okay, there are other people out there in the world that deal with the same thing. That's my whole objective to this. So, like I said, I appreciate you sharing everything with me and with the community and with anybody else that watches. Like I said, also, if you guys are struggling with things and you need help, there's a national number here. I don't know if it's worldwide, but I know here in the United States, 988, they've changed it. It's a one number. You can text it, you can call it, and they'll get you the resources you need. But yeah, like I said, again, I appreciate you taking the time out of your stream to do this, and I really hope everything gets better with you soon. And I have positive thoughts and vibes always heading your way with your stuff that's going on.
Well, you've always heard me, man. I've always told you you're gonna see my face and my name in like real stuff. So.
Oh, I don't doubt that one bit. I know
It's gonna happen.
I know you're, like I said, you're determined and you push forward and you don't let nothing stop you. So I don't have any doubts whatsoever that'll happen. So.
I was on a podcast where I got to turn around and tell people about my campaign that I've been trying to do. And Rebel, you know about this. It's I have underwear on as merch, and I am trying to get celebrities to buy that merch, and then send it back to me with an autograph of some type, that they've purchased it. And I wanted to call it the MyGunIsHuge's Celebrity Challenge to sit on my face.
Yeah.
and all the money that gets derived from me being able to like auction off that celebrity's autograph on my underwear goes to Canadian Cancer.
Oh, sweet.
That's what I've been trying to do, like that's why I've gone to like Dane Cook and everybody else. I got to mention it on that podcast with Roby Levy, which was fantastic. And I if I'm promoting it right now before the end of the stream, that's great.
Hey, no problem. Yeah, no, it's all it's about. Like I said, this is all about the streamers. I don't.
Maybe you get this. Maybe this is the video that puts you over the edge, and people are like, "I gotta listen to this."
Let's go. Well, that's what I'm going to put in the YouTube title. You know, man creates underwear for charity event.
Do you need a thumbnail? I've got a perfect picture of it.